everyone, and welcome back to another episode here on the Cosmere SMP. Before we get started, I wanted to do a quick shout out. If you're interested in playing along, you can always download the mod pack off of CurseForge. And if you're interested in playing on the server is open to anyone who is a member of the Patreon, so follow the link in the description for the Patreon server. So last week I did a quick update to the mod pack. In doing so, I finally managed to just, I guess, luck out and get the gateways to work right. So if you do join the server, there's a gateway that you can use to teleport over to my Starlight Cove or up to the Knights Radiant area where one of our server members is working on Erytheru. Other things that I added, or in the mod pack update, some of the recipes have changed. So if you got auto crafting set up, that might need to be adjusted. We also added a few new mods, so I wanted to highlight them. We have the inventory pets. I thought that was kind of similar to AVR. We also added ProjectE and ProjectEX, which are essentially soulcasting. So we're going to actually spend today's episode playing around with that. And then we added Nature's Aura. And I just thought it was a nice, or it looked like a nice kind of low-key mod pack, or mod to add to the pack. Really haven't looked into it much. Not sure what kind of vibe it's giving me, but it just seemed kind of like it could fit. In between the last episode and this one, I know it's been a really long time in between Cosmere episodes, but I did get quite a bit of work done on Carburette. I have the city walls, or not the city walls, because this is a cliff. The cliff that goes around it built up, as well as the general outline for the roads. In doing so, while this initially seemed like a huge area to work with, I realized that it's nowhere near large enough. So this isn't really going to be Carburette. It's going to be a model of Carburette. So it's essentially going to be 1/10 or 1/100th of the size of the real city. So I'm going to, naturally there's a lot of work to be done just in texturing and then in building up the structures. So my thought was that at these, having these vertical walls in some spots might look nice, but in most places there's going to be buildings here. So the buildings are going to essentially span one layer up to the next layer. And if you heard that, that was my phone going off. My bad. But yeah, this is generally what I've got for Carburette. I've been working on this on stream. I usually stream on Saturdays and Sundays around 1 to 4 Eastern time. You can follow me over on twitch.tv/ArcherPlays. There's a link down in the description for that. And I usually stream Minecraft on the weekends and any other game I really feel like during the week. Lately, it's been kind of older games, so I call that my nostalgia replay, just going back to old games I used to play when I was a kid. And yeah. So this episode, we're going to be focused on Project E and ProjectEX. So Project E is right here. It's kind of merged in with ProjectEX because ProjectEX. Yeah. There's the ProjectEX stuff. And then we have the Project E stuff is buried up at the top. So kind of the idea behind it is taking materials. Each material is assigned what's known as an EMC value. So you can see here next to all of these materials, there's an EMC value over in JEI. You can also see some modded materials don't show up as having an EMC value. But if I were to have like plain stone, it has an EMC value. And you're taking these materials and you're converting them into their EMC, which is essentially the currency of this mod. and then using that to turn into everything else. So more valuable materials have more EMC associated with them. So you can see I've run out of diamonds and emeralds because I've just converted them all into EMC. So as far as getting started with ProjectE, your first point of attack is going to be the Transmutation Table. So this requires obsidian, any sort of stone, and then the Philosopher's Stone, which is made with glowstone, redstone, and a diamond. So in that regard, it's a little expensive. There's actually a cheaper version called the Stone Transmutation Table. A little bit cheaper. Is it? Not really. Supposed to be a little bit cheaper, but the only thing that makes it cheaper is you don't need obsidian. So I would just jump straight to the Transmutation Table. And this is going to be kind of your, essentially your storage. You toss items in. Let me toss a new item in. I don't think I've put any potatoes in yet. So what you do is you toss items into this slot here, which it automatically does by shift clicking. It will learn the item and convert it into EMC. You can see I have an EMC value over here that's relatively high because I've got some passive EMC farms running, and I'll show you those in a second. If you want to just learn what the material is and not burn it up, converting it into EMC, take a pumpkin. What you can do is just put it here, and it will learn that material. This, I guess, GUI is essentially scaled around EMC values, where the highest EMC values that you can currently craft are visible, and as you go down, you get to cheaper and cheaper and cheaper things, all the way down to the low coalescence dust, which is, by its definition, the lowest of the low. So that's going to be your first thing that you want to work on. This next thing that you would want to do is, let me switch over here, make the alchemical chest. So an alchemical chest is made with low, medium, and high coalescence dust, any form of stone, iron, a diamond, and a chest. The coalescence dust, low, is made with charcoal and any kind of cobblestone. You can see you get quite a lot out. Back here. Medium is made with redstone and iron. Again, you get quite a few pieces out of it. And then the high is made from a diamond and coal. And again, you get a lot of it. The great thing about ProjectE is once you make that, all you need to do is toss it into the transmutation table, which apparently I did not do. So let me get my dust. So low, medium, high, diamond, iron, chest, and some stone. Run over to the crafting bench. We make the alchemical chest. We just need one of them. Go back over here, toss it in. We learn. Oh, I just ruined my pick. Oops. That is one of the annoying things, is these Silence Gems picks, despite Silence Gems not having EMC values, the picks and the tools do have EMC values, so you've got to be kind of careful. Most of the other stuff in my inventory does not have an EMC value, so I can't accidentally put it in, but there we go. So we can get the alchemical chest, and we can put it out here, and there we go. So the alchemical chest is just a really large inventory, really useful. What's even more useful is you can then convert it with some coalescence dust and wool into an alchemical bag, which let's go ahead and do. I think it breaks with a pick. Yep, it does. So we want the high dust, and we want some wool. Okay, we'll use orange. I don't know why I only have orange in there, but we'll use orange. And we can turn it into an alchemical bag, which is essentially a shulker box. Shulker box that you don't have to put down. And then you can dye it whatever color you want. So I think I put all of my flowers in here. So we can dye it white if we want, and you can organize yourself that way. It has an EMC value, so you can just toss it in here and then be able to pull it out whenever you want. I would be careful because actually, let's test this out. I don't really have a way of testing it out now that I think about it. But I would be careful, you know, if you've got items in here. Yeah, gotta be careful. So I would just put 64 diamond blocks in. I toss it in. I probably only got the EMC value for the bag itself. So because of that, I'm probably never going to be using these bags. But there's that. After you have the alchemical chest, the next thing you're going to want is the energy condenser, which is made with an alchemical chest. And I think I've got, yep. The energy condenser is kind of interesting. Let's get some nether stars. And let's get some emeralds. Let's say I need to do a lot of villager trading. What we can do is we can tell the energy condenser, I want to make emeralds. And then whatever I put in here, it will convert it into EMC and then convert it into emeralds. So it's converting all my nether stars into EMC and now converting them into emeralds. You'll notice that this bar is full. If I were to have, let's say, I wanted my nether stars back. You'll see that there is now this conversion bar because it's showing that it's eating up the emeralds, building up EMC, and then making another star once it has enough EMC to make another star. So this is a great way of just kind of mass converting things. And what you can do is actually pipe in items from a farm into here, and it will just slowly convert things over time. The next one would be the Energy Condenser Mark II, which is right here. And it's really only special because it has an input and an output. So you can pull the items out that you make, if I remember correctly. I don't really use them that often because I personally like the Transmutation Table. I don't find that I really need to have it working like that for me. The next thing that you would probably want to do is the energy collector. This is a passive way of building EMC and also a passive way of working through materials. So you make it with glowstone, a block of diamond, glass, and a furnace. So, collector. You'll notice there are lots of different versions. The way it works is it essentially absorbs EMC from the air. I believe if we put glowstone on top of it, it will actually work faster. I believe that's what, at least that's what my Googling said. And so we can use this to either put EMC into a network, or we can actually use it to upcycle things. So if I have coal, well, let's take charcoal. And I put charcoal in here. It will pump EMC into the charcoal, turned it into coal. Then it pumps that EMC into the coal to turn it into gunpowder. And every time it goes through one of these cycles, it gets to a higher and higher EMC value. So you can have this just passively working away. Put a whole stack of charcoal in. You can have this working on your charcoal, building it. Oh, I guess it goes charcoal to redstone and then to regular coal. Just working things up and building them up higher and higher and higher and higher until you eventually get to the better fuels. These three materials, the alchemical coal, Mobius fuel, and Eternalis fuel, are critical. So having a good source of them is useful. I personally didn't go this route. Instead, I went with what is it called? The Philosopher's Stone. So the Philosopher's Stone with coal, stack of coal, kind of reminds me of the essences from Mystical Agriculture, but we can, oh, that's charcoal. We can convert charcoal into regular coal with the Philosopher's Stone. And then we can convert coal into alchemical coal, and then alchemical coal into the Mobius fuel. And the Mobius fuel, 4 of those will make an Eternalis fuel. So that's the way that I went about using them and building them up. The reason you need to build them up is to get these other materials called dark matter and red matter. They're used to make a whole bunch of things, like the actual tools for this mod. And they're used for building up to higher and higher levels. So now I think we can jump into looking at passive EMC generation. So this takes a while to build up. I spent a day or so just using all of my resources and throwing all of my resources into the transmutation table. I spent a couple days doing that before I was able to get up to this level. So the ProjectE mod only has 3 levels of energy collectors that will passively put EMC into your network. So MK1. The way that you put EMC into your network is with something called an EMC link. You'll notice I've got 2 different versions here, the personal EMC link and the energy EMC link. I'm just going to use the energy version. It's cheaper. The personal version is supposed to be able to automatically take items and convert them into EMC for you. It's not working. So let me break those. So the way that the energy EMC link works is when you put an energy collector next to it, it takes the energy, the EMC that would be building up here, and puts it into your EMC network. So if I look at my EMC network right now, the number is not moving because I'm not generating any EMC. I put it there, the number is slowly ticking up. That's essentially what you need to do, is put these energy collectors around these energy EMC links. But it takes a while with all of these little ones. So what ProjectEX has done is it has essentially, back when Project E was around, MK1, let me get energy collector, get a whole stack of them. And then there's also a block called the, here we go, the antimatter relay. I don't think I ever made. No, I did not. So let me go back home. Keep getting that error. A little annoying. So the antimatter relay essentially transfers EMC from one generator into your EMC link. So we need obsidian, diamond, and glass. go here. More than enough. So before ProjectEX was introduced, the way that you would go about generating EMC is with something that the community called a power flower. So you would have your wrong spot. You'd have your EMC link here, and then on all 6 sides of the EMC link, you would have a antimatter relay. And then on all sides of the antimatter relay, you would have one of these generators. Or collectors, what they're called. There we go. So this construct here was known as a power flower. I think that was an unofficial term that the community came up with. You would see people taking out the bottom layer here, and putting an energy condenser on the bottom. Let me go get one. So let's go with Energy Condenser Mark II. Why not? So you would put this right here. And let's say I wanted to make blocks of diamond. It should be able to take the energy from the network here and put it in here, although it doesn't seem to be working. Like I said, I really haven't been working on automating this stuff. I don't know. Maybe it's just not working because I don't know how to use these relays. But anyways, that's what you used to need in order to get passive EMC generation. Now with ProjectEX, they have condensed these power flowers into a single block. So instead of them being a multi-block structure, they're now a single block. And that just makes your life a little bit simpler. You have to spend a little bit more time crafting, but it's a little bit easier to work with. So the way that the power flowers all are made is, if I look down at the first one, you need to have an energy EMC link, just like the one that you need with the original stuff. Then you need these antimatter relays. You need 6 of them because around that EMC link, you had 6 of these basic antimatter relays. And then you need 2 of these compressed energy collectors, which are made each with 9 energy collectors. So this is a slightly different version than the one that we had up above. It's made with an Eternalis fuel instead of a diamond block, but you can also just make the one with a diamond block and get it that way. Once you have the basic, you can then add whatever material is needed to upgrade to the next level. So the first level is basic. Then you have dark, so you need dark matter. Then there's red, so you need red matter, which are up here, dark matter and red matter. Beyond that, we jump into what is only the ProjectEX, which is where they essentially added a whole bunch of different colored materials to build up and build up and build up until you get to kind of the end game materials. So I am already up at the purple power flower. You'll notice here that it generates a large amount of EMC, and it also costs a large amount of EMC. So I was at 4.7 or 475 million EMC to make the purple. Oh no, I'm sorry, I'm not at the purple, I'm at violet. I'm at 1.4 billion EMC. So you can see here I'm already back up at 1 billion-ish. But in order to get to the next one, we can kind of use the amount that it is worth as a way of figuring out if we're going to be close. We need to have about 4.2 billion EMC in order to build up to this next one, which I'm not quite there yet. So I'm going to let it keep running. This is where you kind of have to be careful. I'm probably going to use up 1.4 billion in a little bit to make another violet, because then I can produce EMC faster and get to the blue a little bit faster. But normally when I make the next power flower, I have to burn my existing power flowers. The other thing I wanted to talk about was the armor. So there is dark matter armor here, which is just made with dark matter instead of whatever diamonds or whatnot, or iron, which you can then upgrade into red matter and finally into this gem armor. The gem armor does have a bonus. So let me remove my armor on the gem armor. So you'll notice that my field of view shifted right there because the gem armor has speed boost attached to it. You can also fly. It does a weird thing where you've got a jetpack as well. So if I'm not careful, it's sometimes I get confused whether or not my jetpack is on or if I'm just flying. You can also turn step assist on and off and night vision on and off. I'm honestly not a huge fan of the gem armor. I personally like my supremium armor better. So that's why I'm keeping my gem armor in this little chest here. I like my supremium armor because of the absorption I get from one of these. There we go. The leggings, I get absorption. And I also like being able to customize using the tinkering table for mystical agriculture. It's really all I can think of. Oh, this transmutation tablet. The upgraded version of the table is the tablet. There's also this arcane transmutation tablet, but as you can see, it's exactly the same as the previous one. So I don't use the arcane one, I just use the previous one. They allow you to access your EMC network from anywhere, which is great because if you've got all of your items stored in your EMC network or stored as EMC, you can just pull them out wherever you need them. You know, there's a lot more in here. There are these rings and things and trinkets that you can use. I really haven't looked into them. There's all these different kinds of matter, which are used for upgrading the power flowers. There are also all of these stars, which are just essentially large amounts of EMC stored in a very small area. They're slightly annoying because they do not stack. But you can see here, I'm just hitting U to see the uses. You just use them to upgrade until you get to the final star. Final star shard can be used for making the final antimatter relay, which would be for your final flower. And then this Tome of Knowledge. The Tome of Knowledge unlocks all transmutation abilities. So being able to get up there would be great because then you don't need to put things into your EMC network. Although you can see how much EMC is necessary for it, so it's gonna take a while. It's also... I guess I could make one of these. But the final star shard is used there, and okay. So when you get the final power flowers, you can then make the final star. I honestly don't know the use of it, but it seems pretty OP. But it also seems like it might like crash the server, so I'm probably just gonna get up to, you know, honestly, knowing me, I'm probably gonna get up to the final power flower just to say that I did, and just to be able to say that I have 18 or 81 quadrillion EMC. But yeah, so I think that's it for Project E. It does take a while. You're gonna need lots and lots and lots of materials, but once you start getting those power flowers and passively generating your EMC, it will be a huge help. You'll notice that I have my power flowers out here at spawn. Because we're on a server, the spawn chunks are loaded at all times. So even if I'm offline, I'm still going to be generating EMC. So that's the reason I've got it out here. It's a little inconvenient because hypothetically someone could come on the server and just steal them. And that's 1.4 billion EMC gone. But, well, actually 2.8 billion. But, we don't have that many people on the server. I pretty much trust everyone on the server not to mess with it, because otherwise that would be just rude. Yeah. I worked so hard on getting up to this Magnum Star Ein so that I could make this Arcane Transmutation tablet, but it didn't do what I thought it would do, so it was kind of a waste of energy. But, not a waste because I can recycle it, but it was a waste of my time and, like, emotional energy. But I think that's it for this mod. In the next episode, we'll probably be going over blood magic or Botania, or maybe diving into that nature's aura. Um, but I think that's going to do it for this video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Adios.